Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. My name is Julian Bryan. I am an HR technical consultant here at Sprout Solutions. Thank you very much for joining us for yet another episode of our Sprout HR and Legal Experts. This webinar is in partnership with the British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. So to give you a little bit more background about the Chamber, they're an independent, non-profit membership organization whose primary objective is to support the development of its members' business and social interests in the British and Philippine communities. It's helping businesses here to achieve their objectives. Now, I also want to give you a brief introduction as to who we are at Sprout. We're an HR technology company that helps your company take your business to the next level in terms of taking care of your people, which of course, alongside your customers, are the most important parts of your businesses. We provide systems and support for recruitment, timekeeping, payroll, analytics, as well as financial assistance and benefits solutions for your employees as well. And what we're looking to do really is to help as much as possible during these difficult times and help you lift up your team during this crisis that we're all going through. So I just want to give you an outline as to our raffle today. So if we can go to the raffle slide, great. So while we're just waiting for everyone to tune in, I'll just introduce you to the raffle mechanics. So there are going to be 3 keywords that are going to pop up during the talks and presentations today. Collect all 3 of those words, follow our Facebook page at Sprout Solutions PH on Facebook. And then once you have all 3 words, comment those 3 words on the post pinned to our Facebook page. We'll announce the lucky winner at the end of the session. And the lucky winners have a chance to win a 500 peso Shopee gift certificate. So we've got Shopee is still available during these times. So good luck to everyone. We're all in with a chance. All we need to do is follow Sprout on Facebook. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers for today. So we have our attorneys and consultants with us today, very knowledgeable, who are here to give us tips on how to lead our company from outbreak to breakthrough. Please prepare your questions for the fireside chat session later on. You can ask them anything that's on your mind with regard to matters concerning our topic today, which is economic and legal relief for businesses during COVID-19. Now, I'd like to introduce our first speaker for today. That is Attorney J. Ryan Trinidad. He is our Data Privacy Officer and HR and Legal Consultant at Sprout Solutions. He has previously worked in reputable law firms and private companies as a labor and tax lawyer, counseling mostly for HR practitioners and company management teams. J. Ryan helps companies address intricate HR and legal issues. So without further ado, welcome to Attorney J. Ryan Trinidad. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me, Attorney Ryan?
Thank you, Julian, for the introduction. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Okay,
good morning.
Thank you, because my internet is becoming unstable right now. Thank you again, Julian, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Hi, how are you? So if you've been following us in the previous webinars, we've been discussing about how your organizations can help your employees during this COVID-19. But we all know that this virus knows no boundaries, and we're seeing already the commercial impact of this to our businesses because of a lot of business disruptions going on, even locally and even globally. So for today, we feel that it's really prudent for us to discuss the economic and legal relief that's available for your organizations during this COVID-19. Next slide, please. So just to give you a background, remember that we were put under the community quarantine effective March 15, and then a few days thereafter, President Rodrigo Duterte declared a state of national calamity and also put the entire Luzon, island of Luzon in the enhanced community quarantine effective March 17. No? Uh, a few days thereafter, President Rodrigo Duterte requested the legislative branch to enact a law that will grant him some emergency powers to combat COVID-19. So on March 25, the legislative branch and the executive branch enacted the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, or the Republic Act 11469. No? Today, we are still under the enhanced community quarantine. The original community quarantine was supposed to expire on April 16 rather, but it was extended to until April 30. There's no pronouncement yet as to our government would extend further the ECQ after April 30. We still have to await. Next slide, please. Okay, but we can find comfort, no, to the fact that our government is trying its best to combat this COVID-19 pandemic, no. Recently, the Department of Finance, in partnership with the National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, released the 4 pillar of socioeconomic strategy, no, on how to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. For the first pillar, there's an emergency support for vulnerable groups, and the allocated budget for this is 306 billion. And the important projects that will hit businesses are the following. There would be 35 billion wage subsidy for employees of small businesses that closed during the enhanced community quarantine. There would be 1 billion for DTI loan program for MSMEs, and 203 million for enterprise development, training, and livelihood kits. And there will be also 30-day grace period on commercial rents and moratorium on loan payments of MSMEs falling due within the ECQ, without additional interest, penalties, or fees. We will discuss this further in details later on the discussion. Next slide, please. And then the second pillar consists of the resources to fight COVID-19. No? And the allocated budget here is 10 billion. But the important aspect that would impact your businesses here would be the tax benefits and exemption if you decide to donate cash or critical healthcare equipment and property for the purpose of fighting COVID-19. No? These tax benefits are available for all businesses who wish to do this donation. Next slide, please. And then we also have pillar number 3, which is the fiscal and monetary actions. And the allocated budget here is 610 billion. And the government is intending to fund this by getting a loan from the World Bank or International Monetary Fund. No? But the project that will hit businesses here would be the extension of tax compliance and loan payment deadlines, no? During the within the ECQ period. Next slide, please. And of course, the last pillar for socioeconomic strategy would be the economic recovery plan. There's no budget here yet, but the idea here is that the government would provide us a bounce back plan for post-quarantine scenario. So this would be our recovery program for the entire nation. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, again, as I mentioned to you, the legislative branch and the executive branch already enacted the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. No? Here, the president, our president, Rodrigo Duterte, is empowered to implement temporary emergency measures to mitigate, if not contain, COVID transmission, undertake program for recovery and rehabilitation, and deliver measures and programs effectively and efficiently. There are 31 emergency powers provided to the president. You can see the details of this by downloading the full text of the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. No? But all our discussions would be based on what provisions are included in the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, which provide the release for organizations during this pandemic. Next slide, please. Okay, the first relief that organizations or your businesses can obtain is the concession on commercial rents, no, or commercial rentals. This is under DTI Memorar number 20-12, which provides guidelines on the concessions on residential rents and commercial rents of MSMEs. No, this is very much aligned to the tenor of the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, which requires the state to ensure that MSMEs growth, and continuing viability despite the existence of a natural disaster or a pandemic situation like where we are right now, no? But who are those considered as MSMEs, no? If your organization has a total asset of not more than 3 million, then you are considered as a micro business. If your organization has a total asset of 3 million and 1 peso to 15 million, you are considered a small enterprise. And if your total asset is 15 million and 1 peso to 100 million, then you are considered medium. So under DTI Memorandum Circular number 20-12, the relief that you can avail is, next slide please, is that well, the qualifications rather first is that you should be engaged in industry, agribusiness, and or services. So this basically covers all businesses in the Philippines, regardless of the capital structure, meaning it doesn't matter if you're a single proprietor, if you are a cooperative, if you are a corporation or a partnership, so long as you temporarily cease operations during this pandemic, then you are entitled to this concession on commercial rent. Next slide, please. So the relief available here is that you will be given 30-day grace period, meaning minimum of 30 days grace period for commercial rents during the ECQ without incurring interest, penalties, fees, and charges. No. Now, the cumulative amount of returns during the ECQ shall be equally amortized in the next 6 months and shall be added to the rents due on the succeeding months without again incurring interest, penalties, fees, and charges. Next slide, please. So what would be the procedure? Well, very simple. You just have to write a letter to your lessor showing your intent to avail of the grace period provided under Memorandum Circular number 20-12. So this is a sample letter drafted by our attorney Lester Ople. We will provide this to you, the request assistance form, and you can download this later once we send out this presentation to you. Next slide, please. Now, what if your landlord decides not to provide you this? Well, you can go to the DTI and file a complaint, no? But DTI on its own, through its also on its own and through its FTEB or the Fair Trade and Enforcement Bureau may issue a notice of violation to the landlord, no? And the landlord who fails to provide you this grace period may be criminally and administratively charged, no? And if proven really guilty, he or she may be imprisoned of not less than 2 months, or she may be fined of not less than 10,000, or even both. So that's the penalty under this circular. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're done already with our first relief. We now go to our second relief, which is the grace period for loans. No, so the legal basis for this is the implementing rules and regulations of Section 4AA of the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. And the covered institutions here are basically all financial institutions, including banks, quasi-banks, pawn shops, credit card issuers, non-stock savings and loans associations, financing companies, lending companies, and other financial institutions, and including those public institutions that provide loans to your employees and to the employees, such as the GSIS, the SSS, and the Pag-ibig. No, so it applies. This grace period applies to all loans, including private loans, corporate loans, household, MSMEs, and other counterparts, no, including your auto loans, your credit card loans. These cover all loans, and this will also cover multiple loans. So if you have several loans that are existing all at the same time, you have the you can avail of the grace period under these implementing rules and regulation. Next slide, please. Now, covered institutions are required to implement a 30-day grace period for all loans with principal or interest falling due within the ECQ period without incurring interest, penalties, fees, and other charges. No, and this 30-day grace period shall be automatically extended if the ECQ is extended. Remember that this circular was issued on April 1. This IRR rather was issued on April 1, 2020, and we were already extended by our ECQ is already extended. So therefore, this 30-day grace period is already automatically extended, no? And there's no application of documentary stamp tax, and the accrued interest may be paid by the borrower on staggered basis over the remaining life of the loan. Next slide, please. Now, covered institutions are actually prohibited from requiring borrowers to waive the application of the provisions of the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, including the 30-day grace period. In fact, even if you don't assert this is legally granted to you already, no? So you don't have to go to your banks to remind them that you have this grace period. Of course, there's also no prohibition if you decide to pay ahead of the grace period, no? You can still continue paying your loan amortization, your corporate loans, if that's the direction that your management want to take, and that's not legally prohibited. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. So we're already in our alert number, raffle keyword number two, assistance. Again, alert raffle keyword number two is assistance. Next slide, please. So, in following the order of the implementing rules and regulations, a lot of public institutions and private institutions have already made announcement on the moratorium or grace period provision. No? So, for instance, SSS already drafted, already released circular number 20 20-007, providing a moratorium on short-term loans of SSS members for months of February to April 2020. Pag-ibig also provided from March 15 to June 15, 2020. GSIS also provided a 3-month moratorium on loans covering the months of March, April, and May 2020. Loans collection shall resume on 1 June 2020 without penalty or interest. But for this moratorium to apply, you have to go to these websites and apply. No, so we will provide you again these links, and then if you decide to avail of this loan moratorium, you can just go ahead and proceed with the application in the respective website stated here. Next slide, please. What about private banks? So we searched the website of the known banks in the Philippines, the commercial and universal banks, such as BDO, BPI, Metro Bank, Security Bank. And here are the announcements that they made on their websites. Again, the link is here. We will not run through them. On your own reading time, you can go to these websites now. Next slide, please. Okay, what is the third relief that is available for your organization? No, especially those micro and small medium enterprises. No, there's also COVID-19 Pondo para sa Pagbabago at Pag-asenso Enterprise Rehabilitation Fund. This is the government rehabilitation program for small businesses. No, under the Small Business Guarantee and Finance Corporation, or also known as the Small Business Corporation, or which was created under RA 6977. This agency is attached to the Department of Trade and Industry and under the administrative and policy supervision of the SMED Council, or the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Council. No? Among the mandates of the Small Business Corporation is that it can allocate credit resources to small enterprises, and it can also rationalize government assistance programs, especially in situations like where we are right now. Next slide, please. So how much did the Department of the DTI allocated for this? DTI allocated 1 billion pesos, which is a special financing program by the Small Business Corporation for MSMEs affected by COVID-19. No? This is also pursuant to the IATF EID or the Interagency Task Force Memorandum Circular Number 1 Series of 2020. No? So the loan that you will get from this Small Business Corporation, you can use it to stabilize your enterprise and also recover from your losses, provided that the loan proceeds will be used to update the loan amortizations for vehicle or other fixed asset loans of the business, inventory replacement for perishable stocks damage, and working capital replacement to start the business. Next slide, please. Now, while this program is intended to be implemented after the lifting of the ECQ, so therefore there's no guidelines yet on how to avail on this, but there are already fillers from the Department of Trade and Industry on who will qualify for this. No, if you are a micro enterprise with asset size of not more than 3 million, then you can borrow 10,000 up to 200,000 pesos. If you are a small enterprise with a size of not more than 10 million, then you can get a higher loan amount, but it should not exceed 500,000 pesos. And the good thing about this is that the interest rate shall be only at 0.5% per month, no? And the grace period on payments shall be given until such time that the economic crisis has abated. And right now, wala pang definite declaration as to when this will happen. But let's anticipate that once the ECQ is lifted, there will be already specific guidelines on how you can avail of this. Next slide, please. So what are the requirements that you need if you want to be one of the claimants here? You just have to show your organization's barangay clearance and a local certification saying that your business has been established for at least 1 year already from the time of availment. Next slide, please. Okay, now we go to our four tax reliefs. No, we have extension of deadlines. No, of our tax dues. While of course these are just extensions and not really moratorium on payment, but at least in the meantime you can use the cash that you have to defray the expenses of your operations. No, that's the idea there. So what are the extensions that we have here? The 2019 annual income tax return is extended from April 15 to May 15, 2020. And again, if you filed on or before May 15, that will be without penalties. Also, returns and payment for value-added tax, percentage tax, withholding tax, excise tax, and one-time transactions are all given additional 30 calendar days from the original due date, provided that the deadline fall within the ACQ. No? And also, there's a Revenue Memorandum Circular 33-2020 that extended the deadline for the availment of the tax amnesty on delinquencies from April 23 to May 23, 2020. Next slide, please. Now, a recent circular revenue regulation rather was issued by the BIR, allowing the extension of the deadlines to submit, file, and or pay the necessary documents and or taxes specified under it. No, you can check the link there because the discussion is quite lengthy and the calendar of all the returns that you need to file are provided there. So feel free to download this again, and we will provide this to you after the presentation. No? And also BIR issued RMC 31/2020 that allowed taxpayers who are required to submit to respond to NIC, PANFAN, FLD, and FDDA additional 30-day extension from the date of the lifting of the ECQ if the required response and other similar notices fall due during the ECQ period. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, what about our local government taxes? Good thing. Most of us here are located in Makati, Taguig, and Ortigas. So these are the only local government units that we will be discussing here. But feel free to visit the website of your local government units where your operations are located. No, but for Makati, under City Ordinance number 2020-075, rather, they already extended the deadline of taxes from April 20 to April 30, 2020. No? This include business licenses, real property taxes, and other fees and charges. No? And there's no imposition of 2% penalty anymore. Next slide, please. What about Taguig City? Mayor Lino Cayetano, by virtue of Executive Order number 04, implemented City Ordinance all taxes payable to the city government of Taguig is will be due on May 20, 2020. No, so this cover all business taxes, real property taxes, transfer taxes, amusement taxes, and other taxes, fees, and charges, and other obligations due and payable again to the city government of Taguig. Next slide, please. Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto also provided a 2-month payment extension for all monetary and non-monetary obligations falling on March 1 to May 31, 2020, no, because of the ECQ period. So this covers also real property taxes, business taxes, transfer taxes, amusement taxes, franchise taxes, and etc. Next slide, please. Now, if you really decide to despite you exhausting all your options, and you came up, your management decision is to take the temporary closure or cessation of business path. It's prudent for you to update your SSS, BAR, and PhilHealth contribution forms, no, and tell them that you're changing your status, and this will halt this will suspend your obligation to pay the monthly contributions, no. For SSS, you just have to use SSS form R8 or the change of business status. For BIR, you have to notify the suspension of operation or declare a zero or nil income. For PhilHealth, you have to use the employer data amendment form or ER3. No, for Pag-ibig, there's no advisory yet. We're still waiting for Pag-ibig to tell us the instruction about situation where we have to temporarily close or do cessation of our business. Next slide, please. So what else? No, what else will? What other reliefs are available out there for us? Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, remember that Governor John Vic Remulla of Cavite urged the government also to provide subsidies for middle income employees and middle income families, no, not only to the poorest of the poor. And I think the positive response of President Duterte on this is that just last night or just a few days ago, he told us that the government is willing also to provide subsidies to middle income families or employees. Next slide, please. So, yesterday, finally, the DOLE camp is out and the small business wage subsidy program is in. No? Well, this is actually a subsidy for your employees, but at least this will help you. This will help your organization provide assistance, no, instead of you shouldering all the uh, assistance to your employees, no. So DOLE, through COVID-19 Adjustment Measure Program, has already provided a one-time cash assistance of between 5,000 to 8,000 to some 228,000 workers in the Philippines. This time, the target of the Small Business Wage Subsidy Program is to help around 3.4 million workers employed by small businesses. No, while originally the small businesses is intended only to cover businesses that don't employ more than 100 employee, the tenor of the government was changed last night, and you just have to check if your business is pre-qualify by going to the BIR website. We'll discuss the steps later on. No, so the affected workers will receive a one-time financial assistance worth of 5,000 to 8,000 depending on the minimum wage in your region. No? And this will be given to employees of businesses who are paying their contributions to the SSS and paying taxes with the BIR. So you have to make sure that your organization, once you check your qualification in the BIR and SSS website, that your contributions are up to date or updated. Next slide, please. So for those eligible employees, they will receive the cash aid through their SSS UMID cards, through bank accounts, no, that are enrolled in their SSS portals, through e-wallets such as PayMaya or GCash, and also they can also do some cash pickups to some remittance agents, no, accredited by SSS. The financial assistance will be carried out in two tranches. It will be between May 1 to 15 and May 16 to 30, no. And according to Finance DOF Secretary Sunny Dominguez, the government is ready to allocate 50.8 billion to support employees of MSMEs. Okay, next slide, please. So, what are the steps for your employees and for your organization to qualify under this small business wage subsidy program? The first step that you have to do is you just have to go to the BIR website. That's https at www.bir.gov.ph, and then there's a tab there for checking your employer team. Next slide, please. And the step two there is that you have to enter the TIN of your company, and then you just have to click search. Next slide, please. And then if your organization pre-qualifies, you will receive a green prompt saying congratulations, and also providing you the name of your company as well as your passcode. You have to save your passcode because later on you will use this in your in going to your SSS portal. No. Next slide, please. Okay, after you get your passcode, after you check in the BIR websites that your company pre-qualifies, you go to SSS website, and then you visit your the employer's my.sss account or portal. Next slide, please. And then you have to apply between April 16 to April 30, 2020 only. And then in the website of SSS, you can go to the Small Business Wage Subsidy tab. You have to copy the BIR passcode that was generated in the green prompt. And then you have to type the TIN of the employer. And then it will give you the list of the qualified employees. No, you just have to check and select the names of those employees that qualified. Next slide, please. Okay, step 8. So you have to submit also your employer's undertaking online. Step 9, you have your eligible employees will receive an email from SSS. And then step 10, finally, there will be disbursement again through SSS Humid Card, PesoNet, e-wallet such as PayMaya or GCash, or they can cash pick up it through some remittance agents accredited by the SSS. Next slide, please. So, does the government have some other definitive plans for us? Well, if you participated in the nationwide survey that was conducted by the NEDA a few days ago, NEDA is now studying the result of that to assess the damage to industries, no, especially to micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the results of that, they will craft the bounce back program with differentiated interventions for various groups. So we will just have to wait for this after the ECQ is lifted, or hopefully even prior to the ECQ is lifted. No? So we can, all of us can prepare ahead of time. Okay, next slide, please. And I think that ends my discussion. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Attorney Ryan. So we're going to move on now. That was extremely informative, and there was a lot to take in. I am struggling to keep up with all of the questions we've got coming in through the chat. I'd first of all like to announce our third raffle keyword. That is relief. Relief is the third keyword. So to recap, the three keywords are business, assistance, and relief. Please join the raffle by following our Facebook page, Sprout on Facebook, the link of which should have been linked in the chat earlier by the wonderful Julie. And commenting these three words on the pinned post on our Facebook page will give you a chance at winning. Julie has just linked our Facebook page there again. I've also been asked in the chat how we can get these decks, access to these decks. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And all of these webinars will be put up on our YouTube channel so that you can go and review them again if you need to. Now we're going to move on to the next portion of our webinar, which is the fireside chat. So please prepare any questions you have for our panelists. So first of all, I'd like to welcome back our speaker today. That's Attorney J. Ryan Trinidad. And we have two more panelists for you today. So firstly, let's welcome Attorney Lester Ople. He has 12 years of human resources experience with progressively increasing scope and responsibility in IT, BPO, consumer goods, manufacturing, and government sectors. At present, he practices the following fields of law: employment law, contract management, data privacy, administrative law, and family law, as an advisor and also as an advocate. Our third panelist for today is a seasoned audit and risk management professional with 9 years experience from various industries like IT, BPO, and tech companies, manufacturing, real estate, financial. institutions and service companies. He's performed a wide range of engagements from conducting audit in finance, IT operations, compliance and taxations to assisting companies in establishing their risk management procedures. So extremely appropriate for what we're going through right now. So let's please welcome Ray Salvador, who is our third panelist.
Thanks, Julian. Good morning, everyone.
So welcome to Attorney Lester and to Ray.
Good morning, everyone.
So we have had a lot of questions. And it's I'm going to start with one that is just on everyone's mind at the moment. So let's get this out of the way. And it's about the Dole Camp assistance. And we've had a lot of people asking, what has happened to this camp assistance? Has it gone forever? We've submitted over a month ago and haven't received any response. Do we know, is there still any hope that our workers are going to get this? So, I mean, Attorney Lester, could you shed some light on this?
Sure. The Department of Labor has actually been requesting employers to no longer send attachments when they follow up. One challenge that they have encountered is that with the deluge of emails going to the Dole inboxes, they are now unable to manage their inboxes, and as a result, the follow-ups are getting delayed. So there are two things. So if you have already sent and submitted your establishment report form, when you follow up, please do not reattach your submission. You may follow up, but please do not reattach, because that clogs up their inboxes and they're having a hard time validating who have already applied and have been granted. Now, second, they were actually, the Dole has a website. Maybe we can share that later. I have it bookmarked in my machine. They publish, at least for Dole NCR, they have already been publishing those lists of companies who have been granted the camp benefit of 5,000 pesos per employee. Now, you may or may not be in that list, but at least you will be able to see the progress of that page over time. So if you are still unable to receive any benefit, maybe give them until mid next week. And then Attorney Ryan has been also able to discuss the new program of the Department of Finance. So you do have the option to apply for the other benefit rather than the camp benefit, if you have still not received it yet.
Can I dovetail on that, Julian?
Sure. Please do.
Hello?
Yes, please. We can hear you.
So to add, no, Attorney. Okay, so to add, if your employees did not qualify or did not avail of the camp program, you can still apply for the SBWS subsidy program. No, so you just have to go to the website of the BIR and SSS and check if your organization and if your employees actually qualify. No, so just in case they already received a camp benefit, no, these employees may still receive SBWS subsidy, but only during the first tranche of the SBWS, not on the second tranche, no? Because I think the second tranche will be given for those other employees that did not avail of the DOLE and the first tranche of the SBWS.
Okay, great. We're again being asked about a copy of these webinars. They will be available on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel for access to these webinars. They're being recorded right now and they will be put up on there. So just again on this subject, probably for Attorney Lester or Attorney Ryan, advice of denial from DOLE of the application. Will companies be advised if they've been denied?
The rules on Labor Advisory 9-2020 are very clear. DOLE will notify the employer if they are not qualified. So please stand by.
For the SBWS, I'm sorry.
This is for Attorney Ryan. This is only for the DOLE camp.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, for the SBWS, I think they are still they will be releasing those guidelines very soon as to when the processes would kick in. So Please stand by for more updates there.
Actually, they can already proceed to the website of the BIR, and then you can check if your company pre-qualifies. No, there's a tab there where you can put your employer's TIN number or your organization's TIN number, and then it will immediately give you a green prompt saying that you qualified or not. No, so very easy. It's already up in the website of the BIR.
Wonderful. Right, I'm going to move on to another question. What if somebody pawns something and the renewal is at the 20th of the month? Will there still be interest? Is there any interest relief being offered in these kinds of situations?
Say it again, Julian. I can't hear you.
In the situations of pawning things, is there any interest relief or any government advice on interest from charged by pawn shops?
Pawn shops are included in the covered institution, no? So any loans that are taken from them or any financial transactions that are taken from them are already exempt from incurring penalties and costs. No, incurring penalties and charges rather.
Okay, great. Another question here: is there legal basis for requesting waiver of office rental for the duration of ECQ? So this is a company whose office is not accessible due to ECQ. So is there any legal basis for requesting waiver of their office rental?
Well, waiver, it's actually an act of gratuity on the part of the landlord. You may request or you may ask them to waive it for you, but that is not. There's really no legal basis on that. The law only provides for an extension or a grace period, but not really a waiver. So waiver, no charges would all be act of gratuity on the part of the landlord.
Okay, yeah. So from what I remember, a lot of the malls have done this. They have waived rent for the retail outlets who cannot open, but it still is at the discretion of the landlord.
Yes, that's an act of gratuity.
I'd like to add to what Attorney Ryan said. The DTI Memorandum 20-12 actually allows your landlord to request for proof regarding your financial capacity at this time. So if you do request from your landlord, please do not be surprised if they request for a financial statement or statement of account or any other evidence that they may require in assessing your request. So the law does allow them that particular leeway. They're allowed to waive it because it is an act of gratuity, but if they decide to do so, they also have the right to request from additional documentation from you. So please do not be surprised if that happens.
And may I add also, Julian, that they have to check the total assets that they have. No, usually they have to do their balance sheet or review their audited financial statement. And if they exceeds the minimum requirement or the cap provided by the law, then they might not qualify under the concession for commercial rent. No.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Another question here is asking about us. What is Sprout offering for relief for their employees and for their clients as well? So it might be one of our clients who's asking. If anyone
for our clients, I think, we have been doing this webinar for, Julian, what is this? This is like episode 7, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We have been doing the second one I've done. Yeah, we have been doing this since the community quarantine has started, and we are hopeful that in this exercise of being good citizenship, being a member of the overall MSME community, we hope that we are able to share our in-house expertise and help our clients and our stakeholders, our neighbors, if you will, in this overall bigger community. Regarding what they can do during the ECQ. We also have the rescue kit promotion. So it's a promotion wherein we are offering for free, completely free, for a period of 60 days or until the ECQ period is lifted, to small businesses, the Sprout timekeeping and payroll solution. Julian, I hope you can enlighten more regarding the rescue kit. I think Julian would be the best resource to talk about that.
And sure. Even Instacash, please, Julian.
Yeah. So what Sprout's North Star and what we work towards really is to impact the life of every Filipino by improving business in the Philippines. Now we know that business in the Philippines and everywhere in the world. I think the news this morning was that the Chinese economy has contracted 6.8% in the last 3 months, which is unprecedented. So, and we know that the businesses here in the Philippines are struggling as well. So what our executive team have decided to do is offer basic timekeeping, basic payroll, and access to our Instacash module for free for 60 days for any business that needs it. So if you do need it, I'm going to link my email in the chat here. This is my Sprout email. Please get in touch if you think that you could avail of this timekeeping package and also payroll. Yes, it's we had a question. It's completely cloud-based, so you can access, as long as you have an internet connection, you can access it from anywhere in the world. And we're offering, yes, payroll, basic timekeeping for free as well. You'll have access to business continuity experts as well, and then some basic implementation on top of that, and that's free for 60 days. So please reach out to me. My email is in the chat there if you wish to take advantage of that. And also just to mention Instacash as well. For regularized employees, they can apply for a salary advance through one of our lending partners. This is at no cost to the employer. The contract of the advance is between our lending partner and the employer and the employee. Sorry, so the employers are not liable at all for any non-repayment. And it's a flat fee with no interest over time. There's no extensions or anything like that. We're not looking to trap anyone in any kind of debt cycle here. This is just to help out those who really need it. Okay, so moving on to another question. Again, please email me. My email's in the chat there if you need it. What about household employers? Are there workers who are employed at home? Are they can they avail of any kind of relief, government-based relief?
Julian, I don't think the household employees should qualify under the SBWS because this is only for middle income families or employees of the small businesses. No, perhaps there are other available reliefs out there for household employees. No, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Attorney Lesser, correct me if I'm wrong, that they can qualify under the camp or also under the another program of DOLE. I just forgot how you call it, the barangay tulong something program.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's referencing the TUPAD program. So
correct,
the Department of
program.
Labor, yes, the Department of Labor is providing 10 days of minimum wage applicable to your region to people who are willing to help the local government units conduct disinfection procedures in their locality. So if you wish to avail of this, please go to your PESO, to your Private Employment Services Office in your respective LGUs. I'm thinking that the question was really referring to the kasambahays and other home-based workers, but I think that was just another, I might have misplaced the question, no? But at least for the minimum wage earners, they're allowed to avail of the TUPAD program. So what is required is to coordinate with the Private Employment Services Office of your local government unit, and they will allow the enrollment of your home-based workers to the TUPAD program, and in exchange for 10 days of work, wherein they will be doing the disinfection runs in the LGU, they get 10 days worth of minimum wage.
Okay, great, thank you. I have another question here. It's about the Bayanihan Healers 1 Act. Are there any violations that people should look out for under this act?
Are you referring to is the question pertaining to the Bayanihan to Healers 1 Act?
Yes, that's right, that's right.
Yeah. This is a very controversial topic in social media right now. No, Section 6 of that particular law is very polarizing, to say the least.
I think this is what's getting people so concerned.
Yes. Depending on your political affiliation. Of course, Sprout as an organization, we We're non-discriminatory in our employment practices, so we really don't talk about this as much. But let me just say two things. No, Section 6 of that particular law talks about non-cooperation with the enhanced community quarantine guidelines. So it is broad enough to encompass being out in the streets, loitering without masks, and congregating in small groups, up until the very polarizing issue of posting criticism against government. Or even, I've also heard of some incidents where students are being summoned by their universities for criticism regarding their schools. No, so I'm hopeful that these would not cause an erosion of our collective morality and our collective bayanihan spirit. Suffice to say, at this point, if you can encourage your team members, your colleagues, your employees to stay at home, comply with the community quarantine guidelines, and validate the news articles that they are sharing, that they are posting, and thinking before clicking. I think, and of course, washing your hands frequently, wearing masks outdoors. We are hopeful that we will be able to hurdle this pandemic in the easiest way possible and in the soonest time possible.
Also, think before sharing as well, right? We need to make sure that any news that gets shared, passed around, any tips on how to deal with this, they all need to come from a reputable source. So we have a question from Facebook Live, gentlemen. My mother has a small beauty salon. What can she get from our government? Is she qualified for any benefits, or is it only her employees who are qualified?
The business is a small beauty salon, and I'm assuming that it's not located in a mall, right? It's not a brand name salon. It's your neighborhood.
It sounds like an independent. Yes.
Yeah.
Julian, again, if the business is operating well, if the business is small, no, that business can qualify under the SBC program, where they're willing to provide 1 billion package for micro and small medium enterprises. No, but of course, the qualifications there is that the business should really be legitimately operating, meaning to say it has all the necessary permits, all the barangay permits, also clearances from the local government units in order to avail of this program. No, they can simply go to the website of SBC or Small Business Corporation, and pretty much everything is available there already. The resources, the application form, they can the website or to the online website of SBC.
I'd like to dovetail what Attorney Ryan said. No, I've seen some. I've actually been managing my hair. I've seen some barber shops, and I'm not sure about the salons, no, but I've seen some barber shops do this particular thing. They allow their customers to prepay for services to be availed of when the enhanced community quarantine is lifted. So they have the option to either just pay upfront, make a deposit to the barber shop, and then either state the name of a preferred barber. If they have a suki, I'm guessing that would be where the preference would go. But otherwise, they're allowed to just simply prepay the services and then avail of it when the community quarantine is lifted. Your mother might want to explore that option. No, one thing though that I particularly miss about the barbershop experience, it's the overall ambiance. People congregating, and then the smell. It's an experience these days. No, it's not simply a service being availed of. So we hope that your mother's salon would recover that spirit and that vibrance when the community quarantine is lifted.
Indeed, and also please, if you do require any kind of timekeeping or payroll help, please contact me on my email that's in the chat there. I'm sure that it's Julian B julian@sprout.ph. It's JULIANB @sprout.ph, and we can see what we can do in terms of software. But I'm with you there, Attorney Lester. I wish I'd gone to the barber sooner before all of this happened. We're all in dire need of that now.
But
Something we
yeah.
took for granted
but
before.
Julian, may I just add, no, that
course.
actually the salon can go to its local government, unit. I mean, the municipality where it is operating, and then ask for assistance as well. No, you don't know. Maybe the LGs are also implementing their own programs for these small and micro business enterprises. No, so there's no harm really in going to your local officials and ask them what are the available reliefs for small businesses in the locality.
Okay. I have another question about the Bayanihan. I hope I'm not butchering that pronunciation too badly. Healers One Act. Does it mean that if a lessor follows up a payment, a rent payment, can the lessee quote this provision to their lessor if they follow up on payment?
Yes, by all means, you can actually use this bayanihan to heal as one act, no, and then tell your landlord that you should be given the grace period provided by the law. In fact, you can even assert that the landlord cannot insist on asking you because the law actually grants it for you. No, there's no, you cannot, the landlord cannot ask you to waive your right under this particular law.
Okay, so another tip for any mom and pop shops like that, the beauty salon we were talking about earlier, there is a grace period being quoted under this act that she could quote to their lessor.
I'd like to dovetail on what Attorney Ryan mentioned. No? The law actually prohibits evictions at this stage. So if you're getting forced out of your residence or office space, eviction is prohibited under the DTI
Correct.
Memorandum Circular, and you can actually bring them to the, is it the FTEB?
Yeah, FTEB, yeah.
Fair
DTI
Trade Enforcement.
Yeah. So you cannot be evicted for a period of 30 days after the ECQ.
Okay, that's very good to know. I have another question here that's come in. Is there a possibility that tax due dates will be extended after May 20th?
There's no announcement yet from the Bureau of Internal Revenue. We may have to wait, no? But there are already some tax returns that are extended up to May 30. They just have to check the revenue regulations that provided in the presentation. We will share the deck to them after this so that they can check the calendars of due dates.
Okay.
To add to what Attorney Ryan said, they can check specifically RR10 2020. So, for example, for the annual income tax return or annual ITR for companies, it was already extended from April 15 to May 30. So they can check all the list of these returns and also the appropriate deadlines for this one.
Thank you very much, Ray. We've had another question covered in the chat here. The financing loan for enterprises, the 1 million peso loan for enterprise companies, are companies with more than 10 million pesos assets, are they not covered for that loan?
They are covered, but there are qualifications again, Julian. The higher total assets are, the higher that you can loan, but it will not exceed 500,000. So that's the qualification there.
Okay. So I'd also like to ask if there are any more questions, please send them in. We'll do our best to get to them. So this is something that I've been asked by one of my customers, Attorney Lester. How about, and it does seem a bit odd to discuss this at the moment, but how about disciplinary procedures during this period of enhanced quarantine, of the enhanced quarantine measures? Obviously, we are, in the vast majority of instances, not able to give hard copy memos and have face-to-face meetings. So how have guidelines changed? Have they changed at all regarding anything disciplinary?
Let me answer in two phases, Julian. So the first, the quick and easy answer is that the management prerogative or management's rights to conduct its business as it deems fit, that has not been suspended. So as long as relevant laws, guidelines, and regulations are complied with by the business, their rights are still intact. That said, that includes the right to impose disciplinary measures on its employees. So that's the quick and easy part of the answer. Here's the long-winded answer. We are now in the midst of the enhanced community quarantine. If you go by the Spirit of Labor Advisory 9-2020, employers are asked to exercise compassion and flexibility in this time. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. There's a lot of anxiety over finances, over health, over safety. If an employer would want to conduct disciplinary process on any of its employees, they do have the right to do so, provided that all of the procedures, guidelines, and rights of the employees are observed and respected. But do we really want to do that at this point? That would be a question that every employer who wishes to do disciplinary action has to do at this time. Maybe there would be cases that it's highly justifiable. Randomly somebody, gallivanting in public who was tested or has interacted with, a PUI or a PUM, that may be ground because that's exposure. That person exposed colleagues, for example, in an essential business, a business who has not been on work from home setup. Maybe there's non-compliance with safety procedures that caused the exposure of colleagues to unsafe work conditions. It's really a judgment call, no? But please, when we do disciplinary actions, let's be mindful that there is an overarching theme in disciplinary action, regardless of the situation, and it is the protection of the greater interest of many.
Thank you very much, Attorney Lester. Right now, I'm afraid that we have our time is up for this panel session. And I hope that we were able to answer all of your questions that came in. For any that we weren't able to answer, or if you think of any that you do wish to have answers for, please email legal@sprout.ph. That is legal@sprout.ph. Thank you everyone for participating, and thank you Attorney Lester, Attorney Jay, and to Ray as well for helping us and helping our customers and our fellow Filipino business personnel during these very difficult times. So now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, I have been told the winners of our raffle. So drum roll, please. The winners of our raffle are Mads Lejano, Gil Sikat, Raymond Manaig, and Jinky Rosima. I hope I didn't do your names too much of a disservice there. So for those that did win, please message us on Facebook, your email. Get in touch with us with your emails, and we will get you your prizes. So moving on. Thank you very much to the British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines for partnering with us on this event, to our attorneys and experts, and for everyone, well, for all of you who attended. We hope to see you at our next event. I know that we'll be having more episodes of these legal talks, and I know that many of you are relying on them for a real, reliable source of information when there's so much of it flying around. So we can also send you e-certificates for attending this session as well. There are instructions of how to do that here. Please email info@sprout.ph for an e-certificate. And also please follow Sprout's Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn pages for more information. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you wish to see this webinar again, the recorded version. But thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.